So let's take the example of Tina. Tina makes beautiful clay jewelry. She's made a bunch of beautiful designs for her friends, and they all say, you should totally sell these. Tina believes them. Tina decides she's going to run an Etsy shop and she's going to sell her jewelry online. Now, this is not a bad idea. Hundreds of thousands of people do this. They take the crafty thing that they did, the unique crafty thing they figured out how to do, or the art that they practice, and they decide they're going to monetize it, because in this economy, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you take absolutely every opportunity you have not to make a little extra dosh? Now, what most people don't tell you, or what most people don't take into account, is two things that happen when you decide to go from a hobby to a business with that hobby. And this is why most of these transitions from craft to business don't work and just end up being kind of a painful lesson. The two things that happen are this. One is a psychological shift from you're doing a hobby, and it's a hobby that maybe you put hours in every day, you showed up to it like it was a job, you could do this all day, every day. The passion was not a problem for you. And it wasn't a problem because it was a hobby, because it was the thing that you did as downtime from your other job, from the rest of your life. It was your escape. It was your happy place. Now you went and made it your job. You shifted over and shifted into, this is what I have to do to pay bills. In fact, I'm probably going to need startup costs. It's probably going to take a little while, just in pure labor, if nothing else, just to get this thing up off the ground. Even if you're using entirely free tools out there, or cheap websites, or cheap storefronts, or self-printing teas or something like that, just the pure time investment can be a lot. So a lot of people are not prepared for the psychological switch from this was the thing I did for fun and did to escape and did to feel creative and reconnect with myself, to this is now the thing I do for work. And I have ruined many a hobby doing this by thinking I could productize my hobbies. I could productize the things I do for fun. So it's taken me a good few years and a lot of trial and error to get to the point where, for instance, with this YouTube channel, I tried to plan it for a long time. I planned it for like 2 years before I uploaded a single video, because I was very aware of this specific switchover. And I wanted to be absolutely certain of myself, absolutely certain of the kind of content I would make. The second thing that people are not super prepared for is Elizabeth Gilbert has a term for this, or I read it in Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic. The term is shit sandwich. Having to, whatever career you go into, whatever job you go into, whatever thing you end up doing passionately will have a downside. It will have a shit sandwich you have to eat. And most people, once they taste the shit sandwich of the thing that they thought they wanted most in the world, they realize they don't want that thing at all. The shit sandwich outweighs the joy they get from doing this thing. So let's go back to the idea of Tina. Tina may love working on this jewelry, and that's primarily what she loves. But the moment she runs an Etsy store, she needs to also become a person who really loves packaging stuff, a person who really loves taking product photos, a person who really loves uploading, hours and hours of uploading things, a person who really loves running stuff to the post office and making sure people get their packages and dealing with customer complaints or customer questions or fielding millions of invoices and things afterwards. She needs to become all of those other things. And I found this as well. I used to self-publish comics, and in doing so, I took about the 30% that was really fun for me, which was making the comic and coming up with the ideas and drawing the ideas out. And I had to, in turn, learn how to print comics, learn how to print books, learn how to become a bookseller, learn how to do logistics for conventions and floor shows and book conventions. Suddenly I had to learn all these other ancillary skills, which I'm not mad that I learned. I learned a lot doing that. But I also know for a fact now that I'm no bookseller. I am no book printer. Not really what I would love to do. So therefore, if I do make books in the future, I'm probably going to partner with somebody who takes care of that stuff for me, even if they have to take quite a bit off the top. But that's a conscious choice I'm making about that. So this is what a lot of people, when they move from passion to full business plan, they don't really account for all of these ancillary skills that they have to learn in order to make that hobby a business. And that can often kill the whole thing for them. That can often be way more logistically heavy than they accounted for at first. And this is not necessarily something you should avoid at all costs, but it is something to be aware of. If you have a passion and you're being encouraged to pull that passion over from a hobby to a business by everyone around you, think about these things. Think about these things and experiment. Just experiment at a lower level. Do a dry run. If you, for example, want to, as I wanted to do, take my teaching and put it on social media, start to put it on YouTube, start to make videos out of it, I had to test that pipeline. I had to test what the pipeline would look like if I started making videos, doing the skill set that I do, or putting some of my lectures onto videos. And I got to test that in a classroom scenario where I was also making video content for people. So that helped immensely. If you have somewhere where you can just test the pipeline out and see what you like and what you don't like, that is very valuable information. It's called an R&D phase, a research and development phase. It's what happens in film, visual effects, and animation when people are trying to figure out how are we going to take the shot from A to Z. How are we going to make a single shot of a film? How are we going to do this from the beginning to the end? And your business kind of needs that too. If you're making videos, if you're trying to sell books or jewelry or stuff over the internet, if you're trying to get a physical package into someone else's hands on the other side of the world, test that first. Test that before you go live on social media. Just see what happens, because maybe it turns out you can handle all of the admin, but you cannot do post office runs. Maybe there's someone who can. Maybe that's a little extra money you wouldn't mind spending for someone to take that thing off your plate. This is what full businesses do when they scale up. They look for people, they look for service providers, they will look for vendors who take parts of the process off of their plate. They will look for people who do parts of the process that they're not very jazzed about. They will give those people that job to do for a fee, obviously. This is the kind of thing I started to learn once I started to run my own business and my own studio, which was, there's parts of this process I don't much like doing, but there are people out there who will do this so long as I can pay them. That phrase very specifically is, so long as I can pay them. It will be a very long time before you get to a point where you can pay people if you're starting out, and you may need to do all the jobs. But a good byproduct of doing all the jobs is that you know which jobs you don't like to do, and you know which jobs you are unexpectedly good at. You will suddenly find, oh, hey, I don't actually suck at accounting the way I thought I did. I can actually do math pretty good when it comes to money. Or I've got a bit of a talent for photography, product photography. I've got a bit of a talent for putting a website together when I'm pressed. These are all great things to do. So don't disengage from the process. Just be aware of what might happen when you undertake going from hobby to business. Hope that helps. Ciao for now.